If my best mate sat me down and said to me, I need to lose 20 kilos, tell me what I need to know, give me the truth, and don't sugarcoat it. What I would tell him is exactly what we're going to cover in this video. These are the brutal mistakes that I made when I lost almost 25 kilos and it made it so much harder than it needed to be. Lucky for both of us, I have since figured them out and I have helped hundreds of people pull off high-level bodies by just making sure that they didn't fall into the same traps that I did. But I need to warn you, what you are going to hear is, I can guarantee you, about to sound like I'm trying to sabotage you before you even start. At first glance, these mistakes sound like they're the secrets to success, but spoiler alert, they're not. So if you don't want to crawl your way forward with progress, let's make sure you stay out of the pits of despair that I fell into. Let's start off with brutal mistake number 1. I tried to lose 25 kilos. Yes, the first big brutal mistake that I made was trying to lose the weight that I needed to lose. I told you that this was going to sound weird. But when I was starting out, I did what pretty much anyone else would do. I figured out what my goal weight was, I pulled my socks up, and I got to work trying to knock off the 25 kilos. That seems perfectly fine and reasonable on the surface, right? To try and lose the weight. And yeah, it is perfectly fine for you to do if you want it to be a slow and painful grind toward your goals that is just about guaranteed to never actually get you there and get worse and worse the longer that you stick with it and use your effort and willpower and discipline to stay the course. Am I making it sound bad enough? If I am, good. Now, let me explain why trying to lose weight is a problem. Imagine you decided to start Muay Thai. So you show up to a kickboxing gym, the class starts, and immediately some guy throws a jab at your face. And you're new to this, and you have no idea what to do, so it lands and you get a blood nose. And the next week, that same person, who evidently is kind of a dick, tries to do the same thing. But this time, you've had some practice, and you know how to parry and how to block and how to defend yourself, so you're doing a little bit better. And the next week, you see that that partner is about to try throw that jab again, and with more practice, you just push kick them away before their strategy even starts. All it took was enough time for you to get used to what they were trying to do and to figure out how to stop them. This is exactly what your body does when you try and lose all of your weight in one hit. When you diet for a really long time, no matter what you do, eventually your body is gonna figure out what the hell you're up to. And eventually it's gonna start push kicking you away from it so that you can't even throw your weight loss jab in the first place. Remember, you know that losing weight is just about eating less than you burn. That's your jab. But the more times you throw it without showing your body anything else, the better your body gets at reading your shots. It is constantly paying attention to whether or not it has the energy it needs. And if it spends months noticing that there is a gap between what it's getting and what it actually needs, even though we know that's helping us lose weight, that we're doing it deliberately, your body is gonna find ways to close that gap and shrink it. And when that happens, your weight loss goes to 0 and flatlines, even if you're still following the plan perfectly. It's a little bit frustrating, but the solution is simple. Don't try and lose all of your weight at once. Instead of losing 20 kilos in one hit, lose 10 kilos twice, or even better for most people, lose 5 kilos and do it 4 times. Break up your jab so your body isn't expecting the same thing, and then when you come back to your jab, you'll land. All you need to do is split these phases up with a few weeks of maintenance so your body stops fighting you, and then you can run the next block. Now, here's why this is so important. It is always going to take effort to throw your next jab. And if you play smart and break these things up, then you'll make sure that effort always pays you. If you don't, you'll work just as hard and in fact, probably a lot harder trying to do it in one stretch, getting less and less fat loss out of it and more exhaustion in return as your body figures you out. What you need to lock in on is this. Fat loss is not one big long fight. It is a series of rounds with breaks in between when it's being done high level. All right, let's move on to brutal mistake number 2. I tried to make it a lifestyle. Yeah, I tried to make the diet something sustainable that I could stick to. Bad idea. And again, I warned you, this advice sounds weird. Let me tell you why making your approach, your diet, a sustainable lifestyle thing sounds like fantastic advice, but is actually dumb as hell. See, back in the day, I had heard someone say, if you can't see yourself sticking to it for the next year, then don't bother sticking to it this week. So hearing that for me was a little bit of a light bulb. If you can't stick with cutting out chocolate, then don't start and then you won't crash. But I did what I always do, and I took the thing to the extreme. I refused to cut anything out of my diet because it wasn't something that I was willing to do forever and it wouldn't be sustainable. But little public service announcement for past me. Hello, dummy. Are you planning on being in a diet for the rest of your life? Do you want this to be a lifestyle where you can sustain it? Are we not dieting so we can get in and get the job done and then get on with our lives in the body that we want? That newsflash. Weight loss is an intervention, not a lifestyle. You want to be lean forever, not dieting to become lean forever. We're meant to cross that river, not focus on buying really good gumboots so we can stand there in the Russian water getting soaking wet and staying hungry and miserable for a long time. You get me? Even if you are not playing extreme and refusing to cut anything out, you have to understand that your diet is not fun time. And that's not me saying, by the way, that it should be insufferable. You cannot survive on gruel and protein powder. That would force you to quit unless you're a robot with no taste buds. But you have to find your personal middle ground and recognize, especially with what you just learned, that we're only going to be in short phases of jabbing the body. So you need to make it as fun as you require to follow the plan for that period of time. But you also have to remember that you're there to get in and get the job done and then get out and be effective about it the way you are with all your other goals. So my personal rule is not, can I eat this for the next year, but can I run this one diet phase without breaking? If you can, green lights, go ahead. If you're not, then you need a little bit more chocolate, but you get the idea. Just remember, dieting is not the lifestyle. It is the temporary period before the lifestyle where you live in the body that you actually wanted. And that brings us to brutal mistake number 3. I was happy when I lost weight. That sounds like it's a good thing. I mean, all of these do. But I'm telling you, being happy is bad unless you know how to do it. It was, and it is, a mistake for so many people to be happy when they lose weight. And of all 3 of them, this is the sneakiest one that you could possibly make. Now, you're probably thinking, Coach, what are you talking about? Why would I not be happy when I lose weight? That's what I'm doing this for. But I can tell you why, and in case you're wondering, I'm not talking about celebrating your weight loss and rewarding yourself with food and putting the weight back on. I literally mean the positive reaction, the emotional response to seeing your weight go down. Let's imagine that my friend, the one that wants to lose the weight, has a destination wedding to go to overseas. It's going to cost him 12 grand to get there, and the wedding is 12 months away. So he starts a savings account, and at the end of the month, let's say he saved $450. So he's happy and he's patting himself on the back about it. But pause, buddy, you have 12 months to save 12 grand. If my math's right, you saved less than half of this month's target. You're not going to that wedding. That's sad. That's not happy. And in fact, you would have been better off if you saved $0, because then at least you would know that you had a problem instead of being glad just because you moved in the right direction. So goes the problem of being happy about weight loss. You cannot afford to be pleased just because you saw the scale go down. If you don't know how fast it's meant to go down over what increment of time, you don't have permission to be happy about weight loss. That is as useful as asking someone with no taste buds if they think that the bowl of spaghetti you just made is good. Unless they understand the criteria that we're working with and can see whether or not you hit it, they don't know what they're talking about. You need to stop being blindly happy. I'm not saying be miserable, but I am saying you need to know how much weight you're meant to lose. The same way you need to know how much you're meant to save if you want to make it to the deadline. If you hit that, then you can be happy. Okay, so here's the rule that I want you to use. It is per increment of time. How much does your weight average need to drop for you to be intelligently happy instead of blindly happy and actually guaranteeing that you're not going to hit your goal? So for example, if you want to lose 5 kilos in your first block, split up over 10 weeks, then you know that you need to lose half a kilo a week. All it is instead of emotional reactions to weigh-ins, you just grade them. It's a pass or it's a fail and I need to adjust something. And if you do all of this right, you will lose weight without it being the brutal grind that it was for me. But if you don't have a plan for what happens after you lose it, you will end up finding it again like everyone else. So watch this video next and I'll show you exactly how to avoid that.